Iron Eagle back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you?
I'm very well. I had a very short stint in wrestling. I was the Iron Sheik. Very short. It came and went. The character never really caught on.
The Iron Sheik was one and done? Is there...
One and done. Yeah, one and done.
You couldn't sell it? What happened, Iron?
They didn't trust the testing. The testing didn't go well, and that was the end of my career.
Oh my gosh.
That's great.
How you doing? Everything good? Life's good for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's great. You did a fantastic job on the draft.
Thank you, sir.
Do every single year. I know that's the equivalent of a broadcaster giving birth, and you did it.
254 times. I gave birth 254 times.
250.
Yeah. The contraction started at 10 minutes and then down to 7
Yes.
and then down to 5 for the rest. That's basically what
Yes. No episiotomy.
By the way, that's a big word alert right
I
there.
have no idea what that means.
Big on that
Come
one.
on now.
And I got 3 kids.
Come on, Ian.
So, in all seriousness, though, I imagine your schedule is beginning to calm down after calling Nets games, and Nets season's over, obviously, and then NCAA tournament games. You're making some playoff basketball rounds right now, correct? Is that basically what your schedule? Okay.
Yeah, I worked the Nets Philadelphia series in the first round in New York for Yes.
Yes.
Series I went 5 games. Nets gave them a little scare in the first game. Philly got its act together. Great game 4 that could have really turned the series into something else, but 76ers held on there and then blew out the Nets in game 5. All in all, really successful season for Brooklyn. Definite moves in the right direction, and now an interesting offseason. And with TNT, I got assigned this Philadelphia-Toronto series. The first 2 games, games 3 and 4, are on ESPN ABC, and then Greg Anthony, Roz Gould on Woodey, and I are back for Game 5 in Toronto next Tuesday.
Which reeks of being pivotal. The Game 5s are either decisive or
Yes.
they're either decisive or pivotal.
It's like you're taught in broadcasting school that if you're going to say Game 5, you've got to have either decisive or pivotal.
There's no other.
Just before it.
There's no other. It's
No.
either decisive or pivotal. That's the math. That's the only math if you get to a Game 5. And
you don't graduate without that vernacular.
No.
You must use it. You must.
in the same way, anything that happens in the UK, it's across the pond. Anything that happens in Australia is down under. Otherwise, we're fired. It is in our contracts. We must use that.
100%. 100%.
So that's why I say it reeks of pivotal, because the way the first 2 games mapped out. What were the Sixers able to do you think, in Game 2 that might be repeatable tonight and moving forward?
Yeah, much better job defensively on Kawhi Leonard. I thought Ben Simmons took on the challenge. Their double teams were smarter, better rotations defensively against Kawhi, and then problems for Toronto generating offense. If it wasn't Kawhi Leonard in Game 2, they got a little bit more out of Kyle Lowry. There was a come-to-earth moment for Pascal Siakam, who was fantastic in Game 1. Gasol did not give them much offensively. Their bench has been a no-show so far. Danny Green didn't shoot it well. So Toronto still put themselves in a position to possibly force overtime and maybe come back and turn it around in that Game 2. But give Philly a lot of credit. I thought Brett Brown handled things really well from Game 1 to Game 2, didn't push the panic button. And there's usually this reaction, this overreaction after Game 1s of series, because you form a very strong opinion. And the reality is that Philadelphia has a lot of talent, a lot of pride, and they're still developing chemistry. This group just didn't play all that much together. They basically played a grand total of 10 games together before the postseason started. So this is still a work in progress for a team that made bold moves and a GM, Elton Brand, that swung for the fences.
Yeah, I know. Tobias Harris being such a crucial addition, and obviously with injuries, is that really the number? Right around just 10 games as this unit is played together? That's amazing. That is remarkable.
And, look, the process was such a big part of conversation, the way that Philadelphia did it. And I think they realized at some point that they needed to make some bolder moves if they wanted to truly compete at a pace that the fan base expected. They've waited long enough. You just look at the numbers. It's scary to think. This team was a 10-win team, and the fan base stayed patient and understood, for the most part, that this was going to take a lot of time before they could really get it going. They were 47-199 before they busted out and won 28 games in 2016-17.
Right.
That was the first sign that you thought to yourself, all right, maybe there's something here. Embiid got healthy. Ben Simmons obviously got healthy. And then last year, they were a 50-plus win team. They went 50-plus again this year. And they're going for it. In their eyes, the East is wide open, and they should feel that way, Rich.
Iron Eagle here on the Rich Eisen Show. Of course, it all just comes down to when you put it in a blender, can you beat the Warriors when it all is said and done? And Golden State now 10 wins away, 10 W's away from going back to back to back. Which team that you've seen in front of you has the best chance, do you think, to knock them off? And that you can include the Rockets coming back from an 0-2 hole, which is obviously a big task.
I was really confident in Milwaukee, the team that I saw down the stretch of the regular season, that I saw in the first round of the playoffs. Obviously, game one of this Boston series was a bit concerning. They had some bumps in the road in game two, and then third quarter, they flipped the switch. And we'll see if we've seen their rough patch and whether or not they got that out of the way. They have to go to Boston, 2 games now there against a really confident group, even though they're not 100% and no Marcus Smart still. They've played with a fire, and it finally feels as if all of the big plans that were put forth for the Celtics, they've seen the vision of Brad Stevens, and it's beginning to form again. You know, this Toronto team is very good, but any team I bring up is just going to pale in comparison to what Golden State brings, and the firepower combined with the experience, combined with the coaching. It's really hard to make a case for anybody else. And this hasn't been the smoothest road. But with that said, when they get to this stage, it's hard to debate. They are truly the best team in the NBA, and it may require Kevin Durant going elsewhere until we can start having a much deeper conversation about what team could one day replace them.
I'm not convinced he's going anywhere. I'm really. Yeah, I'm not. I know that what the reporting is, and the latest thing is, and I know in our last conversation you were saying that the Nets are preparing themselves to be an actual viable destination come July 1st, and the reporting over the last several days is the Nets will be considered by the top athletes that are available, top free agents that are available, as if that is news. You know, I'm not convinced that he is. He's no longer the guy who joined the team that he couldn't beat. He's no longer that guy. He's the back-to-back NBA Finals MVP. He's got the best chance to do it back-to-back, two-back. Why in the world would he break that up going into a new arena? I'm sure they could come up with some sort of finances that makes him feel special. And why leave that? Why in the world leave any of that is what I think it's going to come down to.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said. It makes all the sense and all the logic that you laid out. But I think Kevin does beat to his own drum and is a bit of a complicated guy, not in a negative way, but I think he has some alternate views on this. Now, that doesn't mean that it's automatic and he pops up somewhere else because he wants to create a new image and a new era in some other city. I do think there will be some serious discussions. We haven't even seen Golden State make their case yet.
Right.
They still have business to take care of.
Well, that's part of making their case.
That's
part of making their case. The next,
win a championship,
right.
Win another one.
You know, I mean, well, and as long as they can actually come to work and live with one another over the stretch of another 8-month slog, you know, to me, I don't know. It just seems to me, why would you? This goose is laying platinum eggs, you know, and I don't know.
You're right.
I don't know why they
Right.
would do anything other than just do their best to keep them together. And they've got the coaching staff and they've got the front office and ownership that can make their case with another trophy in it.
And I think they will. I think the part that we don't know, and even reporters who have gone out on a ledge and have made very large statements about what's going to happen, they don't know, is the day-to-day interpersonal relationships and dynamic behind the scenes of how these guys interact and what the feeling is between the core group if they have another run in them. And I'm not talking about another year. I'm talking about another 3-4 years together to go out and try to make legitimate history. And until this season is over and this championship run comes to an end, I'm not even sure that they've dealt with it. The idea that Kevin Durant knows exactly what he's going to do right now is laughable. I don't think he does. I think he's also in a period of trying to figure out what his future is and what makes the most sense for the next phase of his career.
Well, if the Knicks do get the first overall pick, if the Dolan karma somehow does not drag them asunder the night that the ping pong balls are put in the tureen or whatever they put them in, if Zion winds up in the hands of the Knicks, then we might revisit this conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe
that's
do
fair.
that.
Very fair.
All right, Ian. So are you just off this weekend? Are you just like hanging with family this weekend? Is that what you do?
Yeah. I mean, I don't like to publicly admit that, but yes, I am. I'm off.
So
I have nothing to do.
So what do you do? I mean, do you golf? Do you play golf? I mean, what do you do?
I do not.
You do not golf? Okay. So what do you do? I mean, do you? I'll
probably binge Brockmire. I'll probably do that.
I like it.
Happen.
I like that.
Yeah.
Are you a Game of Thrones guy?
Happen.
Are you a Thrones guy? Are you a Game of Thrones guy?
Oof, that's a tough subject. I am not. I am not a GOT guy.
See?
I'm not. And I love television.
Yes,
and
I know.
I love the history. I just never got into it, and I don't see myself doing it anytime soon.
I'll give you a binge. Barry on HBO. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm a Barry guy. I'm up to date.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm very up to date.
Okay. All right. Very good. Hey, and I appreciate.
Have you watched I'm Sorry yet? I'm Sorry.
Of course I have. I've been on an episode of that, Ian.
I know you have. I saw you. You were great.
Handing out goldfish at a kid's party, much to the dismay of all the cast members. Yes. Which I would never do.
Fun. That's a fun show.
I would never do.
Very
that.
good show.
All right. Well, again, I appreciate now that we are on BR Live on the Rich Eisen Show. I appreciate the brio with which you read the promos.
Synergy. Yeah. A lot of synergy. Also, you know what, Rich?
Yes.
Lanky lefty. That's another one that has to go alongside. You never say lanky righty. You say lanky lefty.
Well, it depends on what sport. Depends on what sport. Okay. In basketball,
baseball,
lanky.
tennis.
Well, in baseball, lefties are crafty.
Crafty lefty. That's awesome.
You know what I mean?
Crafty righty.
Randy Johnson. That's one of the many reasons why Randy Johnson was such an outlier. There was nothing crafty about him. Every other lefty is crafty. All of them. Name it. Tom Glavine.
I'll think of some more.
Glavine, crafty. Right? We can keep going on.
Crafty.
I never even saw Lefty Grove. I know he's crafty. That's what I'm saying.
Point.
Ian, you take care of yourself. Have a great weekend off,
Rich.
man. Have a great weekend off.
Thank you.
Thanks for the call.
So much. I'm going to start Game of Thrones right now.
No. We'll see you by the NBA Finals.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.